is your captain speaking. We'll be experiencing some turbulence. Roger, flight 807 approaching runway 70.
Coming up next on stage here, fresh off shooting a wedding last night and still recovering, I think, as most of us are from the wedding last night.
Yes.
We have Inamics,
Yes.
and actually from Inamics. You are not Inamics, but you are part of it. You
Yes.
are Amber, and in the back we have Garrett, and they did shoot our wedding last night as our press event here. You are Indiana-based, and you are here to talk about 4K in the wedding video industry,
Yes.
correct?
Yes,
So,
thank
ladies and
you.
gentlemen, Amber.
Hi, everyone. Thank you all for stopping by. I wanted to tell you a quick little bit about our business. We are wedding filmmakers exclusively. We do not do photography. We absolutely love shooting weddings. It is our passion. We are great friends with our brides, and we end up, one of my very best friends was one of our former brides. We love being able to capture their stories and tell something, give them something beautiful that will last forever. This is one of our beautiful couples, Morgan and Chris, and we were able to shoot her best friend's wedding. We're going to shoot her sister's wedding in the summer. So we love to be able to keep it in the family and just become great friends with our couples. Like I said before, we are not photographers, so we call ourselves dogtographers. We only shoot photos of our dogs. This is Miss Ripley whenever she was helping me edit a few weeks ago. We purchased our very first Sony camera in the fall of 2013, and it was the Sony FS700. We did that for our super slow motion booth that was just taking off at the time. We were absolutely in love with the images we were able to come home with, so we started incorporating them into our wedding day workflow, and we used them for our lockdown shot during the ceremony. So after we we're coming home with this great footage from the FS700, we decided to start looking at different camera options. So the search for our next camera lineup was a long one. My husband's a little bit obsessive about research, so it took, I'm gonna say, 2 years to find the perfect camera for us. And thankfully, we kept holding out because we waited until the Sony A7S line came out, and we were absolutely blown away by the results we were seeing online from other professionals that were doing reviews on them. We were just blown away because as wedding filmmakers, we live in a very low light world. So we wanted something that was great in low light. We would love something that could shoot 4K internally. And we were really wanting a smaller form factor because it's a little less intimidating for our grooms who don't necessarily want a huge camera in their face for the wedding day. So the search continued until, I think it was 2014 in the summer. And we ordered the A7S and played with it, for about 20, 30 minutes on a Wednesday afternoon with our dogs, and we grilled out, and we just put together a little video, and we're really super excited about the results. So what happened was, the morning of a wedding, Garrett hands me this camera and says, "Here, you're shooting with this for the bride prep this morning." Well, the bride prep is one of the most important parts of the day for me to shoot, so I was a little intimidated, but like, okay, I guess the only way to learn how to use this is to shoot with it. So this is the very first wedding we shot with the A7S. And we were using the Metabones adapter because we didn't have any Sony lenses. And we were just absolutely thrilled with the images and the flexibility of the codec and things of that nature. So whenever we brought it home in the editing, we just decided we are going all in. So we just took off, and we purchased our next one the next week. Because I think Garrett and I would have fought over the A7S if we didn't have to, because we do that. So that whenever the A7S II came out, we pre-ordered them. This was the very first day they were available at our local camera store. We drove up to Indianapolis, grabbed them, and then we immediately shot a ceremony literally an hour later. So this is the first ceremony we shot with the A7S II. We didn't even have a battery grip yet because our local camera store didn't have them in stock. So that's how much, let's say, trust we had in the Sony A7S line, was that we were willing to just grab the camera off the shelf. Garrett set it up the way we like it, and shot a wedding within an hour. And we shot it in 4K. That was the first time we'd shot in 4K, because we like to keep our camera setup very simple. We didn't want to put the external recorder on it. That's another point of failure, and it makes our kit bigger. So we like to keep it small and compact. So with the A7S II, the ability to internally record 4K was a huge upgrade for us. So I'm going to tell you 5 reasons why we switched over to the mirrorless A7S cameras from our previous camera lineup. The first reason is the adapters that were made for it. We were able to use our current lens lineup. Whenever you have tons of money invested in lenses, it's a very daunting challenge to think about having to sell every single lens you have and switch everything over in a short amount of time, especially during wedding season, in the middle of July or August. That's a lot of switching over. So the ability to use our current lens lineup really made the switch and the transition very easy. So we were able to sell off lenses slowly and build up our Sony lens line. There's another picture of our dog. I'm telling you, we're a little obsessed with our dogs, so all the photographs here are shot with the A7S of our dogs. So it's also a great camera, but we don't use it to its full potential. So the second reason why we absolutely love this camera is for the codec. This is testing the sharpness against our previous camera. I borrowed one from a local photographer. And if you see where it says Keystone, it just is amazing the difference once you punch in and realize how much sharper the image is. Not only that, it is amazing in the highlight and shadow retention. So if you look on the bottom corner, you see all the detail in the shadows that you totally missed with the other camera. See, right here. This was just in our living room. We tried to keep the settings all exactly the same. We used the exact same lens because we had the Metabones adapter. And we tried to keep the profiles the same to make it a fair fight. This is a real-world dynamic range situation. What we have here is a groom totally in the shade on a very hot summer day in southern Indiana. Those are brutal. So our lovely bride was walking in from the sun into the shade, and you could still see her. She wasn't just blown out ball of light. You can still see the detail in the gravel and in the sky. So this is the SLog 2 profile, I believe, correct? Yes. So whenever you're using the SLog 2 in a bright, sunny day, it just gives you so much range and flexibility. Okay, so this is showing you the power of SLog 2, and now this was shot with the A7S, not the A7S II, so now we have the SLog 3, but this is SLog 2. So you can see all the shadow and highlight retention in the clouds and in the barnwood, so giving you a much flatter profile that you can color grade more easily in post. Another great feature about the codec is that it has the highlight retention. Occasionally, we all screw up during the course of, 20 to 30 weddings a year, every single weekend, as many shots as you get on a wedding day. we occasionally, and I'm going to say we, but I'm blaming Garrett back there in the back. He screwed up and totally blew out the highlights in the bride's veil. We were able to recover those, and you can see the detail that we were able to recover in her veil and in her arm and in her hair. You can see that. Now, that's not necessarily something that our bride would notice. The bride doesn't mind if her veil's blown out. You know, she doesn't even know what that means. But for us, it kind of breaks our heart whenever you mess up that shot. That's the money, that's the important shot. You know, so just the safety feature of that, the ability, you know in your head, if I occasionally screw up, it's recoverable because of the latitude you have in color grading and exposure correction in post-production. The third reason why we switched over is the low light capabilities. This is kind of the duh moment. This camera is known for being a low light beast. So the reason why is because of the 12 megapixels. Each pixel is able to let in more light. So in the same environment, it's going to capture more light. So this is just a simple test we did at our house with our friend's borrowed camera. They're both set on ISO 200 f2.8. And look at in the exact same environment with the exact same lens on the exact same settings, we were able to gather more light with the A7S II. And being wedding filmmakers, we live in a low light world. The bride, she wants that romantic, low light, candlelit reception, candlelit ceremony. That's really hard to do with some cameras, but with this camera, makes it easy. Not only that, but we've heard some of our friends who do not shoot with Sony say, I don't need a camera that shoots low light because I know how to light a reception. Well, I know how to light a reception too. And you have perfect lighting on the dance floor, but what happens on the perimeter of the dance floor? It falls off, and this mom who has this beautiful reaction, this sister who has these tears during the father-daughter dance, they're a black hole. So this is kind of comparing what our eyes saw and what the camera was able to see with just candlelight on the face. So what we want to do is capture those natural reactions as they naturally happen. I don't want to throw a light on them because that'll take them out of the experience of watching the father-daughter dance, but we love to be able to see these beautiful reactions. We can shoot at lower ISOs so that your image doesn't get as noisy whenever you are shooting in the low light situation. So if you see the difference between the ISOs, the A7S II is shooting at a much lower ISO and the same environment. So that just makes our image look that much better, and you don't have to use something like Neat Video to clean up the noise, and then that bogs down your editing and takes longer. So we love the fact that we can shoot at lower ISOs in those same environments. Oh, another dog. This is a dog break. The fourth great thing we love about this camera is the 5-axis image stabilization. Whenever my husband Garrett walks into a Groom Prep, this is all he brings. Sometimes the 85, 24 to 70. He doesn't even bring, this is what I take to the bride prep. But the brides, let's be honest, they're a little more open to video. They're probably the ones that hired us, kind of forced their fiance into buying video, unless the guy is a video, you know, unless he wants it. So Garrett walks into a Groom Prep with this. It's not intimidating. So the groom and the groomsmen all act more natural around him. He can just be kind of one of the guys in the Groom Prep. They all act very naturally. These video clips we were pushing the limits, and this was actually shot, I think this was shot on the A7S with the OSS lens, is that correct? Okay, so this was a test that we did just to see how much we could get away with without using any stabilizers or, you know, tripod, monopod slider. This was all handheld footage, and it looks like it's either glide cam, slider, stabilizer. So this really gives you freedom and flexibility. And again, looking for those natural reactions, we can get that with the Groom with just walking in with this like a photographer does. Not intimidating at all. This is one of my favorite shots right here. That's a glide cam shot, handheld. So the fifth reason why we absolutely love this is the internal 4K recording. A lot of you may say, well, we're not delivering in 4K, so why should I even shoot in 4K? Our brides, they don't want 4K yet. They don't have 4K TVs. I don't have a 4K TV yet. Garrett wants one, but we don't have one yet. So this gives you kind of the 2-for-1 shot. We're able to shoot, this was on a 70-200. Again, this is the first wedding we shot with the A7S II. You have the 2-for-1 shot. You can punch in, double, 200%. And now you have a super tight reaction of the bride, not getting very close. So that gives you the ability to be even less obtrusive. A couple cameras that we are going to be implementing into our workflow for this wedding season is the AX100 and the Sony action camera. My husband is kind of a gear nut, so he loves to do the fun, funky shots with like the action camera. So he likes to clamp them to golf carts when we're at a golf course, or put them on top of cars or four-wheelers. Let's be honest, we're in southern Indiana. There's a lot of four-wheelers. So we like to be able to capture those super fun shots. And then if you are at a huge Catholic church and you want to just capture the whole majesticness of it, pop that on top of your lockdown shot, your safety camera, what have you, and you can get yet another angle of this really cool venue. The AX100 will be replacing our FS700 mainly because our goal for this year is to downsize our kit, make it much easier for us to be mobile and move around. So the AX100, I don't know if you've seen the camcorder, it's like this big. There's a couple back in the back. And it's still 4K. It has the XAVCS codec as well, 1-inch sensor. And look at that beautiful shot it gives us in the back. Much smaller, easier to set up. And it has all the manual controls on the outside, which is what we pros like to see, not having to go into menus. And we like to see those things on the outside. So I'm going to then quickly go through 6 super cool features about the A7S II that we have fallen in love with since we started using it. The first one is the clear image zoom. I think it might be magic because you can punch in up to 2 times digitally and not see any loss of quality. So we're getting that punch in shot as well. And we can be more like ninjas, let's say, and not get too up close and personal during the ceremony. This ceremony was a very intimate ceremony. There was probably 30 people in the whole building. So if we would have gotten any closer to the mother of the bride, we would have taken her out of the experience. So Garrett punches in with the clear image zoom and is able to capture her, wiping the tears, having a great time watching her beautiful daughter get married. Another huge feature I use it all the time, is the ability to check your focus while recording. That is huge because we used to have to stop recording, make sure you're in focus. If you've changed your, focal distance, you had to stop, make sure you're still in focus, restart. You might miss something. So this is a great feature. We love it. And it's also great for those of us, or my husband, who doesn't have as young eyes as he's used to. And it just gives him a little more peace of mind whenever he's shooting. He might need bifocals, honestly. Another huge feature we love is the small form factor of the camera and also some of the lenses as well. We were able to go from this gigantic Pelican case. It took both of us to lift into our truck without pulling our backs out. We're now using the airport security by Think Tank. Fits in the overhead compartment on a plane. All of our stuff goes in it. So that small form factor is huge for us. I mean, we have one of our cameras, we've actually taken the battery grip off for, Garrett's using it right now. We use that for our handheld gimbal. So we're able to go from a Ronin M to a handheld gimbal that fits in our Think Tank bag as well. So just downsizing, making it easier to move around, to be more mobile, that is huge for us. And then we don't have to use these giant viewfinder things with our glasses. We can use the OLED viewfinder and see just fine on bright, sunny summer days in southern Indiana. Oh, I forgot about this one. I should have warned you. We love the flip-out screen. You can get low without rolling around on the ground, or you can get high like last night. Was anyone at the party last night? I was shooting on my tripod like this, and I didn't have to stand on a chair because the flip-out screen, I could see everything. And then also on a super packed dance floor, I can shoot like this because as filmmakers, we have to frame our shot and hold it, make sure it's in focus. With photographers, you know, they click, make sure it's right, click, make sure it's right. So with filmmakers, it's important for us to just be able to hold it up there, make sure we're framed and in focus properly the first time. We also love the Gamma Display Assist for things like shooting in SLog 2, 3, the very flat color profiles. They can sometimes be a little hard to focus. They're not super inspiring because of the very flat profile. So the Gamma Display Assist really helps us to make sure we get it in that sharp focus, and it kind of gives us a simulation of what we will see in post. Oh, there's Miss Ripley Ray again, the day we first met her. We had to throw that in there. And then I wanted to kind of dispel one of the key things that people say, well, I heard that the battery life on these Sonys is not great. First of all, I'm a very heavy shooter. So on those super long wedding days, with our former cameras, I was using 6, 7 batteries on a super long Catholic ceremony. We have a lot of Catholic ceremonies in our area. And I was using 6, 7 batteries. Now I use 8, but get this. I'm wearing skinny pants. I can keep 2 of these in my pocket, 6 or 7 more in my bag, and it's not weighing me down. And very easy to turn around. So we have enough, we bought enough so we don't have to charge on the wedding day so you don't lose your batteries, for one. So for me, for video, it's not that big of a deal. And then final thing, we are super excited for the future is the G Master lenses. I'm sure you guys have heard all about them, but we are really excited about them, and we can't wait to get our hands on every single one of them, probably multiples. And I hear they're resolving for higher than 4K resolution, so that's huge for the future, because you know that whenever you're making this investment in lenses, it's going to last for several years. And then also the A6300, we're really excited about using that and implementing that in our workflow as well. I think that'll be our new handheld gimbal camera. So that is it for my presentation. And I want to thank you all for stopping by and listening to what I have to say. Thank you. I'll be out here if you all have any questions. I'm going to take this with me. Have a good one.